Hey everybody, it's Dan Bova, editorial director here at entrepreneur.com, and we are delighted to be joined by Simon Sinek. He's an author, he's a speaker, he's an optimist. I'm sure you know him. He's got the third most watched TED Talk in the universe, and now he's got a new book, Together is Better, and we're going to talk all about it. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So, this is not your first book.
It's number 3.
Number 3.
The first 2 books were sort of thinky books where I tried to break down and explain leadership and tribalism and all of this stuff, cooperation and trust, based on biology and anthropology. And in all my work, I realized that there was a theme that runs through it, which is we're social animals and we need each other. And so I decided to do something that was a complete departure for me, which is to do this little simple illustrated book.
Right.
The funny thing is everybody thinks it's for kids.
Right.
It's an adult book.
Right.
But I designed it to look like a kid's book. It is fully illustrated.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to see it so much here, but it's a continuing story. Well,
yeah. It's a metaphor. So basically what I did was I wanted to share this message that, there you go, there's some of the quotes. It was more important for me to share the message in a completely new way that people would get it, that you didn't have to, I know that not everybody gets through all the books,
Right.
But so I figured if I wrote something short enough, they'd finish it.
Right.
And it's basically the book is a metaphor. The story is a metaphor. Many of us, too many of us, are dissatisfied with where we work. We don't really feel like our bosses or our leaders care about us, our growth, our careers. Sometimes we have dreams that we don't pursue. Or sometimes the way we just describe our jobs is it's fine, same old. That's how most people describe their jobs.
Right.
And so I came up with these 3 little kids they're archetypes at various points in our lives. We have been each of them, who also dream of leaving the playground for a better playground.
Okay.
And the question is, how do you do that? And just like we, who want to try something new or different or make a change in our lives, you're going to have to do it with others. You're going to have to ask for help.
Right.
And so these kids go on a journey looking for a better playground, and they learn the hard way that they won't get there unless they help each other, unless they do it together.
Yeah,
Together really is better.
It's fantastic. I was reading it, and it's the way you've weaved in this seemingly simple story, but with these pretty big ideas.
Yeah.
It's great. And
Thank you.
now. Nothing beats the smell of a new book, but especially this one is super duper.
Right.
So let me see if
So
I can
I'll
get...
tell you what we did while he's playing it up. So I had a custom scent designed. It's the Smell of Optimism. This amazing company called 1229 designed this custom scent for me, and it's infused in the page right before the story begins. So you get to smell the optimism before you go on the journey with the kids.
So we're not presented in smell-o-vision, but
exactly.
But this page,
It smells good, right?
If you rub it, it smells great.
It's the Smell of Optimism.
It's fantastic. So how did that idea come about?
I met Dawn and Sam Goldworm, who run 1229. I met them at an event, and when I started to learn about what they do, they design custom scents for brands and stores and whatever. I said, "Have you ever scented a book?" And they said, "We don't think a book has ever been scented." And so I thought, well, there's a good challenge. And so we worked closely with them and closely with the publisher to make it happen. I believe it's the first book ever to be scented, definitely in this manner. Everybody asks me, what's the smell of optimism? The way that Dawn explained it, which I love, she says, there are 7 notes on the musical scale. With those 7 notes, you can play chopsticks, or you can play a Beethoven symphony. She says it's the same with scent, which is there are notes in scent, and how you compose those notes. You can create something quite spectacular. So I can't describe the smell of optimism. It's like, how do you describe a Beethoven symphony? It's optimistic. I don't know. It's got notes. It's more complex than verbena or patchouli.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 2 of my favorite smells.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a variety of countries and cultures, and how do you think that childhood has sort of affected your outlook on leadership and optimism? And
Yeah, I grew up in 4 continents before the age of 10.
Right.
So we were lifted up as a family constantly, and I think there's 2 huge things that I learned as a kid that are in me today. One is my immediate family, my sister in particular. We were the closest things we had because we kept moving and changing our friends. And so that family unit really was important. We're a very, very close family. So I learned that, the importance of people and keeping people close. And the other thing was, we went to such wildly different places, from Africa to Europe to Asia, that I learned that it's what it's like to be uncomfortable.
Right,
I'm the minority.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's an amazing thing. I can to this day be dropped into somewhere unfamiliar, and I'll be okay. And I have I think it's helped me as an anthropologist as well, because I have a respect and a deference for those on their journey,
right,
and
right.
especially for those who don't feel like they belong. So it definitely impacted me.
That's great. Well, I've got a ton of questions for you, but we also got our viewership out there are big fans, and we asked them to submit some questions.
Great.
And here's another thing that's very cool that is being offered. So besides the book, so it's move.com. You could pick up. There's these note cards that have some of the pages and some of the illustrations, and send out notes to them.
We got together with Moo. We're both fans of each other's, and we thought, wouldn't it be nice to share some of the sentiments from this book in a different way? Again, the goal was to try and communicate this message in as many ways as possible. You have the quotes, you've got the illustrations.
Right.
Aloe Black gave us a song called "Together Is Better." The book has its own song. The scent, and the cards as well. And so we got together with Moo. We took some of our favorite quotes and favorite illustrations. They're not just ripped from the pages. They're fully designed, and the goal was to get them make them for people to send to each other or hang in their cubes. As you remind us, you're like Vanna White here.
Yeah.
So we have this wonderful partnership with Moo.
So as I started to say, we got a bunch of questions in, and I've attached those questions to the back of these cards. So I'm going to ask you to just pick a card, any card, and we'll see what the question is there.
Do I read the quote first also?
Yeah, sure.
Working hard for something we hate is called stress. Working hard for something we love is called passion. Okay,
so this comes from Jessie Mayok. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. She says that you've been a great inspiration to her.
Thank you.
And she wants to know, what was the tipping point in your life or career when you realized you discovered something truly extraordinary that needed to be shared in your world? And not only that you could make a living doing it.
My journey started a bunch of years ago. Thank you for the question, Jesse. I lost my passion for what I was doing. And it was that crisis that was really unnerving for me. I'm sort of a happy-go-lucky guy, and I wasn't feeling so happy-go-lucky anymore. And it wasn't until a friend came to me concerned that I was acting differently, because I spent all of my days lying, hiding, and faking. I was pretending that I was happier, more successful, and more in control than I actually felt. And having somebody who believed in me and cared about me gave me the courage to find a solution. That solution was this thing called the why that I discovered.
Really?
And I realized I knew what I did, I knew how I did it, but I didn't know why. And it had such a profound impact in my life. It restored my passion that I did what anyone would do when you discover something beautiful. I shared it with the people I loved. You see a great movie, you tell your friends to see it,
Right.
So I told my friends, and my friends started making crazy changes in their lives, and then they would invite me to their homes to share it with their friends. So it all began very organically. I literally stood in someone's apartment in New York City talking about this thing called the why, and people would ask me to help them find their why, and I would do it on the side for about $100.
Really?
And so that's how it began.
Wow.
It wasn't and just people kept asking me, and I kept saying yes. And I took a risk once when a company asked me, and I said yes. It was the first one, and they asked me the price, and I'm thinking, well, it's $100, And I don't know. I just in this meeting I said it's $5,000, and I'll work with you, and they said okay. And that's when I realized I could make a living helping people and helping organizations find their why.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So that was really just a stroke of idiocy and luck, all wrapped up in one.
And now, if you could look back, could you say?
I figured I wasn't making any money.
$50,000.
I know, right?
Should have been my
I realized I wasn't making any money from it anyway. So if they said no, then It's like it's like losing a game show. It's like, well, I didn't have like losing a lottery. I didn't have the money, and I still don't have the money, so nothing changes. But if they say yes, it would be like winning a lottery. That's kind of how it felt.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right, so let's go to another
card. Okay, let's go with this one.
Okay.
Be the leader you wish you had. I like that one.
Yeah, that's great. So this comes from Lindy. Lindy asks, Simon, can you talk about your mentors and how you've been influenced by them?
Over my life, I've had many, and the mentors that I've had, there's two kinds of mentor relationships I've been lucky to have. There are people that I absolutely admire who I've gotten to know personally, and only once I got to know them would I call them. I never asked them, would you be my mentor? But I would call them on a regular basis and just ask them for advice, and was astonished that they would always take my calls. They would always take time out of their day to help me solve problems and help me think things through. One of my mentors, Ron Bruder, who runs the EFE, the Education for Employment Foundation. Education for Employment, that's what it is, yeah. Education for Employment, an amazing charity. Ron would get on phone calls with me to help negotiate things. He was just amazing. He didn't have to.
Right.
He's a self-made millionaire, he's got his own thing, and yet he was always there for me. And I really learned the value of a mentor relationship. I was over his house once, and I remember I was saying goodbye, and I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said to him, I think it was the first time I ever said it to him, I said, I want to thank you for being my mentor. And he looked at me and said, and I want to thank you for being mine. And that sort of shocked me. And that's when I learned that all the best mentor relationships are not mentor-mentee, they're mentor-mentor. We're both people, regardless of your experience. Both parties show up to be students, and both parties show up to be teachers.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't realize that Ron would pepper me with questions all the time as well, because he was also learning.
Yeah, right.
And so the best mentors are not the ones who let me teach you a thing or two.
Right.
Even now, the mentors that I have in my life, Charlie Kim, Bob Chapman, Lieutenant General George Flynn, the people who I call for advice on a regular basis, every one of them, they're more senior than me, they're more seasoned than me, and yet they would say of me that I am also their mentor, which I'm humbled by.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are thinking how do I even start a mentor relationship? You feel like you don't know anybody, or maybe you've met somebody once. Would you say just pick up the phone?
No, I don't buy into the whole find a stranger to be your mentor thing.
Right. Okay.
A mentor who doesn't have time for you isn't your mentor.
Right.
Mentors make time for you, and busy people who don't know you aren't going to make time for you.
Right.
They're going to make time for the people they know.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter how senior someone is. It doesn't matter how you regard them in life. Find the people in your life who you want to be more like them. You want to live a life like them. You respect them. You admire them for sticking to their values,
right,
for adhering to their beliefs. They're people of honor. They act honorably, sometimes to their own detriment, but they act honorably. And if you want to be more like them, go to them and just ask them questions. Share with them, open up to them your struggles.
Right.
And if they're willing participants, then you will start to form an even closer relationship than the one you already have.
Right.
You probably have some sort of family relationship or work relationship or friendship with them already.
Right.
And that relationship will go stronger, and the mentor relationship will develop. It's not a decision like, I'll be your mentor. It's like a mentor program.
Right.
Those things notoriously don't do that well.
Right. Okay.
And I think the reason is because the relationships don't pre-exist. And then as you grow, you'll meet more people and you can have more mentors. You don't have to have one, you can have many.
That's great. So Conrad, would you be my mentor?
I thought I already was.
Only you have to say, only if you'll be mine. There you go, that's right.
No deal. All right. So, all right, we got three more questions.
Okay,
so
I'll go with this one.
We'll go with the middle one.
Life is beautiful not because of the things we see or the things we do. Life is beautiful because of the people we meet.
Nice.
A la the mentor.
Yeah.
I should have picked that one for the mentor one.
So this is from Milena Mitkov. She asks, what's the one thing you would recommend for an aspiring entrepreneur to overcome self-doubt?
Yes. Okay. Two things I would recommend. One, read the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Frankl. It's like this big. I think it's standard reading for anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur, number one. And number two, it's the biggest mistake I made in my life as a budding entrepreneur when I was younger, which is you don't have to know all the answers. And if you don't have to pretend that you do. The entrepreneurs who make it are the ones who are very open about the fact that they only know what they know and they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And they are very willing to ask lots of questions.
Mm.
You know, some people don't like asking questions for fear of looking stupid.
Right.
You know, but they're very willing to ask questions. They get used to looking stupid. And amazingly, we are surrounded by people who want to help us, but they don't help us because they don't think we need it because we never ask.
Right.
So really practice asking for help, admitting your weaknesses. I'm terrible at the numbers, right? I used to hide that fact. And you know what that means? It means the business is badly.
Right.
Until I asked for help and somebody said, "Oh, I'm good at that. I can help you." And I went, "Oh my God, thank you."
That's
you know?
great.
So I know one thing, and I'm really good at a narrow thing. The reason our organization grows and continues to spread our message, the reason any of my work spreads isn't because of me. If it were just me, I'd be by myself drooling on myself, you know, sort of with all these ideas and no way to share them. It's because of throngs of people who believe what I believe, share my vision, and commit their talents, their skills that I don't have to advancing this greater cause. Literally, together is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I didn't mean to do that, but it's true.
He's just that good.
It's true.
No, that's.
So here's the next card.
Okay, here we go.
Together is better.
Right, there we go. So
I hope that answers the question.
from Nikki Ramirez, what was your biggest learning opportunity / mistake to date?
I mean, biggest mistake. I've made so many. So I tell you one mistake that I made because I was getting comfortable being open with my weaknesses. Sometimes I would lunge for help from somebody who they definitely had the strength that I wanted. They definitely had the skill that I needed, but I didn't spend the time to get to know them.
Okay.
And so I would join up with people or partner with people or sometimes hire people and realize that we don't really get along or we don't share the same values. It's because all of my inadequacies and feelings of insecurities, I could compensate with them by my side, but the reality is it's still a human relationship. So
Right.
I'm much slower now when forming partnerships with anyone, companies or individuals.
Right.
It's actually one of the things that Ron Bruder taught me, my mentor, which is slow the process down.
Right.
You know, when people say we have to work together, you know, if we don't work together, we're going to miss this. We'll miss this deal. We'll get the next one. You know, there should be a patience.
Yeah.
And you want to work with people who don't need you. Like
Yeah.
if they don't do business with you, they'll be fine.
Right.
They may not grow as much. They may not be as dynamic, but they'll be fine.
Right.
You want to work with people who are really good at what they do, who would like to work with you, but don't need to work with you.
Got it.
I find those to be healthier relationships.
Yeah,
And I've made those
absolutely.
mistakes in the past to my own detriment.
Yeah. I think many of us can relate to that. And
Well, it's intoxicating when somebody needs to work with you and they're excited and they put
Yeah.
this pressure on you, like we could do this, and you realize that if they didn't have you,
yeah.
they're going like nothing's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
it's a very unbalanced relationship.
Got it. So we've got one last question. If you want to
I read the quote. Yes.
Yeah.
Leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. So true. I think one of the things that is misunderstood is people think leadership is rank or authority or
Right.
position, and it's not. It's responsibility. I know so many people who are senior and aren't good leaders, and I know people who are junior with no authority who are fantastic leaders. It really is.
Right.
It has nothing to do with it. So,
Okay.
good definition, that one.
Yeah, that's great. So this is from Scott Kevin Cinco. How do leaders start creating the culture they want in their company?
So it's about consistency. Leadership is a little bit like exercise, which is you can't go to the gym for 9 hours and get into shape. It doesn't work. The
Right.
intensity doesn't work.
All right.
Consistency. If you work out every single day for 20 minutes, you will absolutely get into shape.
Right.
The problem is I don't know how long it takes.
Right.
And so too many organizations try to rely on intensity. You know, we had a company offsite. Look, we're all a team now, right? Or, you know, we brought in a speaker, or we have a book club. Like they look to these intense experiences
Yeah.
to form the tribe, to form the trust. And those are important, but they also need the consistency. It's like going to the dentist, right? Going to the dentist twice a year is intense.
Yeah.
It's easily measured. You know the date you're going. You know approximately how long you'll be there. And you can measure the impact when you leave.
Right.
Your teeth feel smooth. It feels really good. Measurable results
Right.
from that hour in the dentist
Yeah,
chair,
yeah,
right? But if that's all you do,
Right.
or your teeth will fall out.
Right.
It's the consistency of brushing your teeth twice a day for 2
Right.
minutes every single day. But the problem is, we know the measurable impact of the intensity with the dentist.
Yeah.
But what's the measurable impact of brushing your teeth for 2 minutes? Nothing.
Right.
Absolutely zero, unless you do it twice a day, every single day. It's the
Right.
consistency, and I don't know how long it takes. Leadership is the same. It's the balance of intensity and consistency. Intensity is about learning the lessons, having the events, keeping things in check, having the big reviews, the evaluations, those kinds of things, practicing empathy in those situations. But then there's the daily consistency. Lots and lots and lots of little things, like brushing your teeth, that by themselves would do nothing and are completely innocuous, but with regularity and in combination, they start to form a trusting environment. So, for example, if someone's struggling and they've missed their numbers, instead of walking into their office and saying, "You've missed your numbers for the third time in a row, you better fix them this fourth quarter,"
Right.
walk into their office and say, "You've missed your numbers for the third time, are you okay?" Practice empathy.
Right.
Right? You're waiting for the elevator. You're late for a meeting. The doors start to close. Someone's running towards the door. What do? How many of us have just not pressed the button? Right?
I've never done that.
Right. I know. I can see the halo.
Yeah.
I thought you just rented that halo. That's leadership.
Yeah.
It's sometimes putting your interests aside to help the life of another human being. And sometimes it's small, innocuous things. You know, you go to get yourself a cup of coffee, you bring a cup of coffee back for the person who sits next to you, even though they didn't ask.
Right.
You're thinking of other people. And if you do that consistently with lots of little things, the culture will begin to form into one of trust. The reason we call you leader is not because you're at the top of the organization. The reason we call you leader is because you chose to do those things first. You chose to take the risk first. You chose to express empathy first. You chose to lead by example, and by doing that, others will copy you. So if you lead with empathy, what you'll start to see is the whole culture starts to take care of each other.
Right.
That's just how it works. It's a natural human reaction to the conditions in which we live or work, and leaders set those conditions. So practice consistency. Lots and lots of little things, like being a parent. You won't get it right every day, but you just got to stick to it, and I promise you it'll work. Just like exercise, just like brushing your teeth.
Well, wow. That was... I'm ready to go lead. I don't know about everybody out there,
Yeah.
but well, we can't thank you enough for coming by. And so the book, where can people get it?
The book is available at fine bookstores everywhere, and some not so fine ones. Wherever you like to buy books.
Right.
And the Moo cards are available at moo.com/Simon Sinek, my name, and it's also available. The Moo cards are also available on our website, startwithwhy.com. I believe you can choose your own paper stock at moo.com. You get postcard stock from our website. But startwithwhy.com or moo.com/Simon Sinek.
Well, sir, thank you so much, and I definitely encourage everyone to pick this up and
Smell it.
And smell it.
Smell
If not, don't just stand around the bookstore smelling it. Actually, buy it, because I think the words might be might breed some optimism as well as a scent. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And everyone out there, if you want to send us more questions, we'll see if we could get to some of them offline. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.